Hey guys, this is Juan with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, letting you know that this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurants located at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Give them a shout out and call them at 405-685-7773 for to-go order, or dine in and experience the best Mexican food and even greater customer service. And don't forget, $5 Margarita Wednesdays. It's the best medicine to get you over that hump day. On the rocks or frozen, $5 Margarita Wednesdays. It's the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You shoot your eye out, kid.
I answered. And don't call me Shirley.
There's no crying in baseball. This is long, bitch. Hey, the Schwartz baby.
I am the father.
At you, my pretty.
Take your stinking paws off me.
May the force be with you.
Here's Johnny.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to a new episode. Welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Juan. I'm joined by the cast, the crew, the guys. Zach.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Craig.
Yo.
What a Monday, guys. It feels like a long time ago in a galaxy far away since we've recorded last. We'll start with you, Zach. How was your Easter weekend?
It was good. Hung out with family.
Did you get a lot of eggs?
I did get a lot of eggs, yes.
Craig, I can smell it. Did you get a lot of eggs?
I did not.
You did not get a lot of eggs?
No, I don't.
You're allergic to eggs, aren't you?
Yeah.
We know you're allergic to those huevos. It was a great Easter, guys. I'm excited to come here and talk to you guys all about the Nice Guys. And you know what? This is a child birthed by Craig. A few weeks ago when we were talking about Gladiator and we talked our top 5 Russell Crowe movies, this idea, it came from the Extremes mind. What do you think? That's what I like about some of these segments that we talk about. Top 5s, recent watches. These conversations that we have kind of spawn episodes, and that's what happened here. I know we're going to get into a little bit later, but simple yes or no question. Zach, you excited about Nice Guys?
Yeah.
Craig?
Yes.
I think it'll be fun conversation. A look back last week, though, guys, we talked all about the anniversary of Selena. You guys can listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, and now thanks to Prescribed Films Network, we are on Apple Podcasts as well. So go check them out. You can listen to a bunch of great different podcasts like us, The Movie Defenders, and a bunch of other great podcasts as well. A very big, girthy selection of horror podcasts as well. So, again, that's www.prescribedfilms.com. The social media, we just got done giving away Spider-Man No Way Home on digital code. We're giving away some more digital codes this week. And then the Memorial Day movie poll is returning for its second straight season. We're gonna be having some great war movies put up in a poll, and you guys decide what we talk about this Memorial Day month, next month of May. And then thanks to you guys, we are now talking about American Psycho next week, starring Christian Bale, Willem Dafoe, Reese Witherspoon. It's going to be a fun conversation, I think. It's also the anniversary of American Psycho, which beat out The Northman, Schindler's List, and Rocky II. So, American Psycho on top. The Northman almost ran away with it. I was really surprised. Northman is getting a lot of hype, Zach.
Yeah. But I think we've been trying to do American Psycho for the last 3 years, so I think it's finally it's due.
It is due. Other than that, I am excited and ready to dig into the Nice Guys today.
Hey guys, this is Zach with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, here to talk to you about our good friends over at Rodeo Cinema. Rodeo Cinema, Oklahoma City's unique non-for-profit art house movie theater located in the stockyards of Oklahoma City. Currently, they're showing the new A24 movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and the new Best Picture winner, Coda. So go check them out, Rodeo Cinema, 2221 Exchange Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and tell them that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you.
All right, guys. Some interesting stuff that I did not get to bring up last week or the week before, but I'm glad because we have another voice to give their opinion on this matter. Ezra Miller, or Ezra Miller, who is starring as DC's Flash, is on hold for the time being. And this movie, you talk about cursed, okay? First off, he physically abused like a couple or something
At a bar, yeah.
at a bar, and they didn't press. Well, at first, they pressed charges, but now it's coming out that they are revoking their charges and they're not going to press charges against him. But Warner Brothers had said that anything that has the Flash, or at least Ezra Miller, tied to it is officially on hold. Zach, do you think that this means that the movie The Flash is now not going to get released, even though it got pushed back 3 million times?
So I truly think one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to come out just like it is. It's just they're going to wait for the heat to die down, maybe even push it another year just to see what happens with Ezra Miller. I know you're just so excited to see
I just
Michael
got to
Keaton.
see Michael Keaton in that bat suit.
But the other thing I could see them doing is that if everything does not calm down with this and it continues to escalate, they could really just like do a Kevin Spacey, Christopher Plummer thing and just like reshoot all the scenes with somebody else,
Ooh.
which would be like 90% of the movie.
And then that movie would make no money.
Yeah. But this is their chance. If they're going to do the Flashpoint, they get a new Flash. I mean, ultimately, that's probably what they might do. So
this is true. Craig, do you have any 2 cents on this? You know, he kind of just he was essentially him and Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot were on top of the world as the only returning ones. Now it looks like that's maybe not so happening.
Yeah. I think just the we are getting a final destination, so to speak, of the Justice League.
It's crumbling.
The everybody in that movie seems like it's either moving on or something's going to happen.
They're blimping away.
Yeah.
Speaking of the DC, more news. Barry Keoghan was arrested over this past weekend.
Seriously?
Yeah, was arrested for not drinking and driving, but he was disturbing the peace while he was completely trashed. Warner Brothers and DC haven't said anything about that because he didn't physically abuse anybody, and he went in quietly. But again, what do you think this is, guys? Everybody, you think some of these roles that are going to some of these, you think they're just too young? You think they can't handle the pressure?
DC going to their head.
I mean,
it's almost like every week now, ever since the Will Smith thing. Will Smith, and the next week was Ezra Miller. Now Barry Keoghan is just like, damn.
Well, you know what also I think is going on is reporters, TMZ. Guess what's going away? COVID's going away. So these reporters are going out and they're finding
Looking for anything.
Yeah, they're getting any and every story now instead of just staying, quarantined up. Because I remember back in the day when we started doing some movie news, like it was like everybody was getting arrested back in the day. Do you guys think that that's what that is, or are you kind of like, they're real people? Should their job not be affected by having to like a DUI?
I think it's not just TMZ and the reporters. It's the people.
Social media.
The people are going out and doing it. The actors, like they are becoming more active. So it's not. I mean, yeah, TMZ's going out there and finding it, but at the end of the day, it's the actor's fault. That's what they're doing.
I was going to bring that up to you guys. We're 20, 25, 30 years later from Hollywood was known for party all night, sleep all day. And that was the norm for Hollywood back in the day. Now do you think things have changed so bad to where, guess what? I saw let's use Barry Keoghan as an example. I saw him at a bar completely shit-faced. 20 years ago, that would have been under the rug. No big deal. Now it's like, we have to live in this society where people aren't allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Do you think stuff like that is just like, you know what? It doesn't need to be under a microscope. He's a normal dude. If he wants to go out and get a little shit-faced, he's allowed to. It's not like he hurt anybody, honestly.
Yeah, right. As long as he is responsible with how he gets home, there's no.
It's not like it's breaking news.
Yeah.
I mean, we appreciate a good little ice cold beverage from time to time, but we
OKC
do it
soda?
responsibly. Yeah. Speaking of
Some blueberry Kai.
some root beer, man, it's nice and cold.
So yeah, but speaking of the Batman has hit over and grossed over a little over $800 million globally at the box office and is currently on HBO Max.
What was the number I told you guys?
You said $1 billion.
I said it would be just under $1 billion.
I said $1 billion.
I mean,
What do you guys think? Do you think it was too soon to pull the plug and put it on HBO Max, or do you think it was perfect timing? Me personally, I would have waited until June to put it on HBO Max.
if you're at 800 million,
I think they could have got. I think they could have got a little closer to $1 billion.
yeah, but at the same time,
Milk it for all it's worth.
did they get 150 from HBO Max for putting it on there so early? You know what I mean? Like it could be a 50-50 on that. I think it was out for about 2 months.
Go back and look
I mean,
at the numbers.
there's no more dollar movie theaters. People don't go to those anymore. It's all AMC or Regal or bust.
Okay, so the budget for the Batman was $185 million. When we talked about it, it had already grossed $250 million. Now we're talking $800 million. So it damn sure made its money back. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just the Blu-ray comes out May 25th.
About a month.
I would have waited until then to put it on HBO Max.
I think May 1st, just like give it a full extra month, and then throw it on there May 1st. You know, because that way everybody's like, because it snuck up on me. Yeah. I got a notification on my phone, and I was like, it's on today. Yeah. But like, if you have it May 1st, everybody's like, okay, start of May, it's on there. But
that would have been a good strategy. Just get it out of the theater before Doctor Strange comes out, and then it has a new life on HBO Max.
Right. I mean, you milk all that time where, I mean, what else is coming out in the next 2 weeks?
Theaters?
Yeah.
Really this weekend you got The Northman, which there's a lot of hype around that, and then nothing big until Doctor Strange.
Well, I think they were thinking maybe they didn't want it to compete with Fantastic Beast. That's Warner Brothers.
Well, yeah, that's another Warner Brothers movie. And speaking of Fantastic Beasts, that's in my next article. $43 million opening, worst in franchise history, including the Harry Potter movies. Did anybody go check it out?
Yeah,
Zach, you want to bring it up? Let's talk about it. Your initial thoughts on the movie? Would you pay to go see it again?
My initial thoughts was I thought it was better than The Crimes of Grindelwald, but it's just one of the. I noticed on like the rewatch. I guess we can get into recent watches if you want to. I went back and rewatched the first two. They're better on just after the thought. Like, I think the first movie is actually a lot better film than I initially thought. That's the same for The Crimes of Grindelwald.
It's just so long.
They're long, and just there's just a part of me when I'm watching these, I'm just like, why are we doing this? I know you're trying to build the mythology of Harry Potter a little bit more, but it
doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it. I thought the movie. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine. Honestly, if it was the same day theater and HBO Max release, I probably would have streamed on HBO.
Yeah.
So.
And if this came out probably in December, it probably would have been an HBO Max movie.
Yeah, and I think the biggest praise I can give it is, and Ed's not here to defend it. So, but Mads Mikkelsen, who replaced Johnny Depp, thought he was much more of a presence in this film than Johnny Depp was. So.
In the later years of Johnny Depp so far, I think Mads Mikkelsen's a way far better actor. I know I'm going to get some heat for that, but maybe at this time in their careers, I don't know. Johnny Depp's just not getting any love from anybody, honestly.
Well, and if he loses this trial, it's over.
I mean, so far he's won.
It is on court TV as well, isn't it?
I don't know about TV, but
yeah, it's on court TV.
From what I saw, he won the initial trial. So
I wonder what this says to where if he does win the case, what is
I think if he wins, he'll go away for a little bit, and then maybe
he has to,
and then a director might bring him back.
Tim Burton. What does Warner Brothers do?
But speaking of,
if Amber Heard loses, because Aquaman 2 is shot and done.
I think whoever loses, their career's done, basically. And kind of going with the Ezra Miller story, I think there's supposed to be a fourth and a fifth one. I think he'll get written out, or they'll recast him in the next Fantastic Beasts. To be honest.
Well, I brought that up because you said they were supposed to, but with how low that this opening had, Warner Brothers has so far scraped the fourth one.
It's on hold because of Ezra Miller, or
it's on hold because of the weekend opening.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
So
can't all be Marvel. You feel me?
Hey guys, don't forget this is also brought to you by CDR Electronics. CDR serves the OKC metro area with the best value for your electronics. They pay the most. You can visit them at cdrokc.com or visit them in store at 1604 West I-240 Service Road right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you, and it's the best place to get all your Blu-rays, DVDs, video games, computers, anything that you need. CDR has it electronic-wise. And you guys see it all the time on the social media, all of the girthy Blu-rays that we post. So go get your copies and go get your Blu-rays from CDR right here in Oklahoma City. All right, Zach, speaking of some recent watches, what else did you get to get into this past Easter weekend? Did you watch the Ten Commandments?
No, I did not.
All 4 hours about girthy.
Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I watched it last Easter, and yeah, it was pretty long.
Yeah, other than the Fantastic Beasts trilogy, the first two are on HBO Max, and then the new one's in the theater, obviously. I checked out. I had recommended this guy's documentaries last year. Ken Burns. He has a new one out about Benjamin Franklin. 2 episodes, very, very detailed, very interesting. I didn't know much about Benjamin Franklin other than the obvious. His films are long; they're 2 hours apiece, but you learn a lot. So
he's on the $100 bill.
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew. But you can stream his stuff on PBS. So
nice. I didn't have that much of a exciting, girthy rewatch like I wanted to, because that 70s show has officially just binged me. Like I'm binging it like it wants to be binged.
Where are you at?
I just started the final season today.
Damn.
Season 8. Yeah.
There's only 8 seasons. I thought that ran for like 10 or something.
Only 8 seasons. And a little interesting fact. I'm going to talk about that 70s show for a little bit right now because, man, I just keep forgetting, and I mention it every time, how funny and genuine this movie is, or this TV show. And I just finished season 7, and spoiler alert, I didn't know that Topher Grace after season 7 was like, dude, I'm not coming back. I don't want any part of this anymore. So at the final episode of season 7, he says his goodbyes, and they write him off of the show. And I think it was coming around the time where he was about to do Spider-Man 3, and he just wanted to evolve his career. And so I'm kind of like disappointed. And then I find out that season 8, Ashton Kutcher slowly gets written off because he wants to go do his punk thing. And so season 8, man, I'm kind of interested to see how the episodes flow because the 2 main people are gone. And it's almost like season 8 is just a throwaway. And I feel like that wasn't fair. Like going back, if I could go back in time and talk about it as if it was airing, I'd be like, man, that's kind of jerkish.
It's not fair to the rest of the cast.
Not fair to the rest of the cast. But I'm excited to see Danny Maston he's one of my favorite characters, and he's going. Speaking of trials, he is going through it.
He's on.
Yeah, he's on. I got sent a message from a listener or from somebody who follows social media, talking about how I should not watch that 70s show, and yeah, I pretty much got shamed on social media for watching that 70s show.
Shame on them.
So by the end of the series, season 8, is it mostly Danny Maston and Mila Kunis? Are they the main 2?
She's in it. Donna's in it still. That actress was also in
Orange is the New Black.
Yes. So I'm I'm into it really now, really good, and I'm kind of upset because it's the final season. And Zach, you know how it is. And Craig, you sure do as well. When you're completely binged watching something,
you feel sad at the end.
You do.
Are you afraid this season is going to like kill it? Because
I think so. The way season 7 ended was perfect. It was tear jerky. Eric was moving on. I have fallen in love with the guy who plays Red.
Don't know his name, but Red is good enough. Everybody knows who he is.
But he's also on RoboCop. So,
yeah,
Kurtwood Smith.
I haven't really to my immediate knowledge, I haven't really binged a big show. Game of
No.
Thrones, but I didn't even finish the last season.
After this, since I finally have all 12 seasons, I think I'm going to restart Big Bang Theory and just
go through a bit.
go through the entire thing.
I don't see how Big Bang's
They're
funny.
living your dream, bro.
Big Bang is funny, but it's not bingeable in my opinion.
I don't know, man. We'll find out here in a few weeks. I think I'm going to hopefully start it by the time we record our next episode.
Do you feel about Big Bang Theory the way I feel about The Office? It's like I can watch 2 episodes, like I'm good for a while.
Dude, I can watch 30 seconds of an episode and be like, that's funny, and then not want to watch it.
That really surprises me though, because you're a huge fan of what they do.
Surprises me too, yeah. But it's just not.
Maybe I think it's not funny because it makes what they're doing a joke, and I think you kind of like I like
those people
exactly. Like you like Marvel, you like Batman,
but I like Workaholics because it's about
See, that's a little weird.
Workaholics top tier, top like 4 shows of all time.
I did binge watch, so I binge watched that 70s show this week. If it shows you how much I've binge watched it this week, I started season 5 last Monday and on season 8 this week.
But they're like 22 episodes a season.
Yeah. I checked out The Nice Guys for this episode. Rewatched Spider-Man: No Way Home. And then you know what? I watched Come On with Joaquin Phoenix.
I heard that's pretty good.
Really, really good movie. It's really slow paced, but if I would have watched this 6 weeks ago, it would have made my top 5.
Of course, that's A20. Is that A24?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really it, man. And I checked out Gothica with Robert Downey Jr. and Halle Berry.
What'd you think?
I liked it, honestly. You can listen to the review over at Friday the 14th. Out of their scale, it was 1 to 5. I'm not going to give away what I gave there, but on our scale, I gave it 6.
Okay.
Yeah, really good movie. I recommend it. Craig, check anything out over this Easter weekend?
Kind of long break for me. Yeah, I mean, it kind of all started off with WrestleMania here with you.
Oh, yeah.
And that got my kick going to... It didn't really get the kick going, but I ended up going on vacation like the end of that week. And I caught the Stone Cold documentary. And then right after that, it was the Roddy Piper documentary. And so I've watched those. I've watched the Evil docuseries,
which it's put together really, really well.
Good.
I think even if you don't like wrestling, the Evil documentaries on Peacock, I think people would enjoy it.
Because I think people don't like wrestling because they consider it as not real. Even though me and you, we were watching the WrestleMania, and I was just like,
it's entertaining.
Entertaining, yes, but like they were doing real shit, and I was just like, you haven't seen that a lot lately. And so after watching that, like I said, I watched those documentaries. I ended up watching Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown.
Been binge watching.
I watched.
You probably watched more wrestling than I have.
Probably. I watched Turning Red all the way.
What do you think about that? I mean, Zach, you said you enjoyed it. Craig, it's one of those movies that I feel like
is fine.
No, it's not even like. Dude, I absolutely don't like.
I didn't like it either.
The songs are not ones that stand out for a Pixar film.
And I was talking to Zach about that. I was like, I'm really surprised. I could see it being a Disney movie, but when I saw that it said Disney Pixar, I was like, really?
It really just doesn't. It doesn't have the Pixar characteristics. I know they might be going and trying something different and with a different director or producer or whatever, but
when you follow Encanto, though, I don't know. Maybe Encanto was just
no. I mean, just like the songs in general are good on like every other Pixar film, and you listen to a song on this one, and you're just like, there's no way I can listen to this song. But watch that. Watch The Nice Guys. Watch Batman again.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, caught up on that. But yeah, went on vacation for a little bit, so that's just kind of where we are.
Some facts by Zax.
Yeah, so Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling were both child actors who dropped out of high school to pursue their careers and never had formal training in acting. Never, they didn't go to school or anything. Russell Crowe put on some extra weight for the role of Jackson Healy, feeling the character as an enforcer thug should be a quote-unquote stocky brawler type. The porn star...
Where can I sign up for this role?
The porn star Misty Mountains is named after one of the film's production companies, and the project was initially proposed as a TV series, but was retooled as a film after the plot seemed to be going nowhere.
Jeez.
Which...
Hey guys, also don't forget that this episode is brought to you by OKC Soda Company. It's the craft soda company of Oklahoma with super unique flavors like strawberry milkshake and blueberry acai, made with pure cane sugar and all natural flavors. Visit their website at okcsodacompany.com or visit them in store. You can also pick up a 6-pack at Pruitt Foods right here on Expressway and Hefner Parkway in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. They also have other flavors like cherry limeade, root beer, and guys, you're slurping on some root beer right now. What do you think? Nice, cold, creamy?
Pretty good.
I wish it was just a little bit colder, but that's not the fault of the soda company.
That's true.
That is the fault of...
Probably my cheap-ass refrigerator. But yeah, check them out. Oklahoma City, and the greatest soda that you can get your lips on. The only soda of the Cine-Men movie podcast, OKC Soda Company. Alright guys, and it's almost dinner time, or at least while we're recording this it is. So don't forget to check out Red and Blues Pizza. Order now, 405-602-2838. 4500 South May in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, right here. Don't forget to check them out. Family deals, 2 large pizzas, 1 topping, $20. Pizza and a calzone, $21. The jumbo deal, which honestly should be called the Cine-Men podcast deal, because that's what we get every time we go in there. 2 large pizzas, unlimited toppings, 12 wings, 2-liter soda, and don't forget the girthy cinnamon sticks. It's the best value for your dollar, and it's the best pizza in the OKC Metro. So don't forget, and also let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you in there to get some of their awesome pizza. 405-602-2838. Again, 405-602-2838 for some Red and Blues Pizza. It's the best pizza for your dollar in the OKC Metro area. All right, guys, this week's top 5. A few weeks ago, Zach, we talked our top 5 favorite bad cops. This week, we're just going to talk our top 5 favorite good cops, or our top 5 movie cops. If you guys want to play along, send in your emails at cinemen921@gmail.com. That's cinemen921@gmail.com, and we will read your list aloud. So, by all means, does anybody have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I got 3. I'll just run through mine. Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson in the Lethal Weapon movies. Agent K from Tommy Lee Jones and Men in Black. And my official honorable mention, Jane Banner, played by Elizabeth Olsen in Wind River.
Nice. I have a few honorable mentions. I'll go through mine real quick. Just have 2. Billy Costigan, played by Leonardo DiCaprio from The Departed. And then my official honorable mention, RoboCop. Craig, you have any honorable mentions?
No, I don't.
5.
All right. Zach, you want to start with number 5?
Yeah, number 5 is a character who we actually talked about probably a month ago, to be honest. And it's kind of hard to believe it's been a month. But my number 5 is Detective Loki, played by Jake Gyllenhaal from Prisoners. Truly a character of... I feel like this guy is like always depressed. He's always trying to prove himself, but given the circumstances of what he's going through in the movie, probably you would feel that way. And I think by the end of the film, he's just willing to do anything in the world to find not only the daughters, but catch the apprehensive person who kidnapped them. So
it's good. Number 5, different, out of the box. Speaking of box, that is not my number 5. But my number 5 is going to be Mr. Will Smith, who plays Detective Mike Lowry from the Bad Boy movies. You can give or take. I don't care which one you want to name, 1, 2, or 3. I think Will Smith is just he's perfect for that role. He's perfect for that kind of character. And you know what? Why not be able to slap the shit out of somebody and get away with it? Will Smith, Mike Lowry, funny dude in all 3 of these movies. I really want to talk about one of them one day. I think they are fun movies, and I think Will Smith nails it. He is this franchise. So Will Smith, number 5, Mike Lowry. Craig, number 5.
Number 5 for me, it can be the old movie, it can be the newer one that came out not too long ago. RoboCop. I mean, just a badass cop who, pretty much comes back from the dead. He's half man, half robot. So he's got all the gear, all the tech, and he just gets shit done. So.
And he eats baby food.
Number 5.
Number 4, Zach. Who's your favorite 4th movie cop?
Number 4, movie we talked about last year. All of us loved except for one person. The character Mr. Sheriff Ed Tombell, played by Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men. I think this character.
You know what we do to people who don't like that movie, right?
We boot them
They're out of here.
Yeah. I think that's such an interesting character study of just like someone who is basically past their prime, but still trying to prove something, even though the character says you can't stop what's coming. He's practically out of the game, and the violence is such on a different level than he's ever experienced. And Tommy Lee Jones he didn't get nominated for an Oscar for that, which is insane. He's so powerful, and you not only do you want him to succeed, but you want him to come out scotch free.
What do we got? A bunch of Eds in the Academy? Come on now.
Number 4 for me, we talked about this movie. I don't know, top 5 Stallone movies a few weeks ago, but number 4 for me is going to be John Spartan, played by Sylvester Stallone from Demolition Man. Fun movie. Sylvester Stallone is a dirty grit, just kicking ass cop from the 80s, and then he gets frozen and he wakes up and he's that same cop in the future. And this is, this says sci-fi action thriller. I laughed way too much at this movie, and I almost would say that this is kind of an action comedy. Stallone, Wesley Snipes, knock it out of the park with this movie. But I'm just going to talk about John Spartan. Sylvester Stallone can play some really good cops, and he's done it in a lot of his movies. But that's number 4 for me is John Spartan, Sylvester Stallone from Demolition Man. Highly recommend it. I think it's on YouTube or Hulu. Go check it out. Craig, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me is going to be Agent K from Men in Black. Tommy Lee Jones seems to have a pretty common theme here in this top 5. So, he was very. When he was on screen, it felt like everything was going to be okay. He was just very in control of everything, very professional, and again got shit done. So that, when you think of a good cop, that's what they do. They're professional in their expertise. They don't sway in emotion, and he was able to help his young rookie trainee Will Smith, Padawan. With the ropes of being a man in the black suit. So.
Zach, sir, number 3 for you.
Number 3 is one that's played by, I think all of us can agree, probably one of the best actors living today. Christian Bale. Number 3 is Melvin Purvis from Public Enemies. He's basically trying to catch John Dillinger, played by Johnny Depp. He's out. John Dillinger outsmarts them. He's fast. He's quick. Gets in and out. And, it's a really up-and-coming FBI, and so he's trying to use the tactics that he has at his disposal to get Dillinger. But, like I said, he's just better and faster, and ultimately, I think by the end of the film, you kind of get the conclusion that you're expecting. So, based off true characters, Christian Bale does a very good performance, and he rivals Johnny Depp in the movie. So,
good number 3. My number 3 is going to be Frances McDormand for Fargo as Marge Gunderson. She, throughout the whole movie, is a pregnant cop, and she she's going to burst any day now, but she has a massive kidnapping on her hands, if you will, in the middle of a snow blizzard. So Fargo is one of my favorite movies of all time. Marge is a hilarious but down-to-earth, serious cop in this movie. And really, really good character. Won her an Oscar. And I think this would be a fun movie to talk about one day. But that's my number 3 is Frances McDormand for Marge Gunderson from Fargo. Craig, number 3?
Number 3 for me is going to be a movie that Christian Bale was in 2002 called Equilibrium. Very Matrix-esque, I guess you would say. But in a futuristic world, the population is given drugs, medicine to control their feelings so they don't have their own emotions. And Christian Bale is able to break out of that mold and take down basically the new world regime. And this movie works for him because, let's face it, Christian Bale mostly is very stale in his face a lot of times. And it works because he shows no emotion for the first hour of this movie. So that's my number 3.
Ooh, we're going to have fun next week. Because he is almost the same way in American Psycho. That's gonna be some fun next week. That's a good number 3. Zach and Nimrod Dulce.
number 2 character comes from a film that I think we need to talk about at least sometime in the future.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Yeah. Number 2. Kate Macer, played by Emily Blunt in Sicario.
We talked about the second one. We've done.
Yeah, you guys, when you first started, did Day of the Soldado. In that movie, what an incredible cast! Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro, John Bernthal. I forgot Daniel Kaluuya's in it. And talk about a character who's another interesting study of someone that's truly out of their depth. I mean,
in that 4K steelbook. Ooh,
I know you got it. Someone that's truly out of their depth of, she's not a wolf in order to play the game and with the cartels.
Woof woof.
And I think it's interesting by the end of the movie, you're just like, she can't do it. Along with Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro, and by the end of it, you kind of feel sorry for her that she's gotten herself in that situation. So.
My next 2 could flip-flop at any point in time because they both made looking like a cop super, super fun. Number 2 for me is going to be Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop trilogy, played by Eddie Murphy. Such a fun cop in all 3 of these movies. And it's good to put in one of these movies and just sit back and laugh. Eddie Murphy and Judge Reinhold are... the chemistry is just so fun. So, like I said, Eddie Murphy made looking like a cop really, really fun, and I think that's what you got to do when you're playing a cop on TV. I think you have to have some kind of fun with it. So, I also, I can't really talk about number 1 too. So, number 2 for me, Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop. Craig, number 2.
See, and I could have had, a list. I can't even think of the word. The list outside of the top 5.
Oh, a top 5 plus. Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Because I had Axel Foley and William Somerset. I had a bunch, but I'm going to go with John McClane. Just kind of the OG, the yippee-ki-yay, just the badass cop that, he didn't have any superpowers, doesn't have, a whole bunch of stuff. He's in one of my favorite Christmas movies. So, uh, no, I'll just John McClane, number 2.
Zach, number 1, sir, your favorite movie cop of all time.
Number 1, I really totally forgot about this character until I started looking at cops. Marcus Hamilton, played by Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water. Texas Ranger who is only weeks from retirement, and another one kind of like Ed Tom Bell, Tommy Lee Jones, and kind of out of his depth, but he's on a mission to catch the 2 bank robbers, played by Chris Pine and Ben Foster, and that's a situation that you truly, if you stay with the movie, you get rewarded by the end of the film. It's very powerful, great performance from Jeff Bridges, and the way the movie ends, you kind of want a sequel, even though it doesn't need it. So
I want to see what happened to Ben Foster.
Well, we all know what happened to Ben Foster.
What don't you want? Number 1 for me is going to be the duo of Officer Riggs and Officer Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, those guys, to me, those are like what cop movies are. I always liked a good buddy cop movie, but these two, it's almost like The Odd Couple, but mixed in a detective situation. I think all 4 movies are good quality movies, and it's due to the chemistry that these two had on and off screen. So I'll leave it short and sweet because I want to talk about them one day. They're all on HBO Max. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Martin Riggs, and Roger Murtaugh. Number 1 for me. Craig, number 1?
Number 1 for me is old Sheriff Woody.
I love it.
He learns a tough lesson that not everything's about him, and he keeps the gang together, man. Make sure everybody, no toy left behind.
Part of me really thinks this is a joke, but no, he's real.
It's 100% real. I mean, like I said, he keeps the gang together. He keeps everybody, we're here for Andy, so he's doing, he's keeping everything into the highest order, Like I said, no toy left behind. He goes and finds Buzz. He goes and finds Pete. He goes and makes sure Slink is okay. And
Pete.
RC, and then he learns the power of friendship. So Sheriff Woody, number 1.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho.
Hey guys, don't forget to check out our good buddies over at Friday the 14th podcast. Join Nick H. and Mr. Fuentes as they talk all things horror every other Wednesday, and add me in there. And the Wednesday that they're off, me and Nick talk about underrated horror movies. UHD, Friday the 14th presents UHD, and underrated horror discoveries. On the 27th, guys, me and Nick are going to review Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I cannot wait to dig into this movie. Me and Edward reviewed it years ago when this podcast first started, and that's honestly the last time that I checked it out, so I think it's going to be fun. Me and Nick are going to dig down and talk all about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Wednesday, April the 27th, so check that out. And don't forget, we just got done talking about Gothica. Halle Berry, Robert Downey Jr., a tremendous movie, honestly. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a really good psychological thriller mixed with a little bit of horror ghost stories mixed in with some Shutter Island. So go check it out. Gothica, me and Nick reviewed it on Friday the 14th podcast.
You slow dog! Uh-huh.
All right, guys, it's time. Let's dig into The Nice Guys. But before we dig into The Nice Guys, some director talk directed by one Shane Black. He has directed, honestly, some pretty big movies. Craig, you might know for his work that he did on Iron Man 3. Mm-hmm. He's also directed movies like The Nice Guys. He's also been in movies He played a army, kind of a throwaway character in the first Predator movie.
Yep.
Zach, what else has he done?
He's also been an actor, a writer. He wrote the first 2 Lethal Weapons. His first directorial debut was actually Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I think is that Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
Iron Man 3, The Nice Guys, and then The Predator.
Don't say the Predator like it's trash.
Oh, dude.
I'm staying out of this.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, he's kind of an interesting guy. That he's kind of got his hands on all kinds of stuff, and
Seems like a lot of it has to do with like a buddy cop type
Yeah.
thing.
even something like Iron Man 3, it kind of had
Last
hints
Action
of that.
Hero,
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon.
So yeah, if I had to pick a movie that was probably just an absolute favorite, directorial debut, oh, I don't know. What else did he direct though?
That's the only things he's really directed.
So as a director,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, The Nice Guys, and The Predator.
I like The Nice Guys, but I would have to say maybe Iron Man 3. Even though that doesn't feel like a Shane Black movie. Obviously, Marvel had a lot to say. I would say 1A, Iron Man 3, 1B, The Nice Guys.
I'd say Nice Guys and then Iron Man 3.
yeah, I'm gonna go Nice Guys just because MCU Marvel, it's all kind of, they're the director, but it's all following a guideline.
So let's talk about The Nice Guys. IMDb currently has it at 7.4, Rotten Tomatoes at 91%, the Metascore is at 70%, and the Google users like it at 82%. With a budget of $50 million, it only grossed $63 million at the box office. In the 1970s, Los Angeles, a mismatched pair of private eyes investigate a missing girl and the mysterious death of a porn star. Starring Russell Crowe, Ryan Gosling, Matt Bomer. You also have Margaret Qualley, Keith David, Lois Smith, Kim Basinger, and
Say at the time when this movie came out, there was really only 3 big name actors. Am I
2016.
right at this point? Because the daughter was in Spider-Man: No Way Home, but that was in 2017.
Oh, you're talking about in this movie.
Yeah, or Homecoming. I mean,
Yeah, in this movie, I would only say Ryan Gosling had a phenomenal 2016. He
Yeah.
came out with this, and he also came out with
La La Land.
La La Land. Russell Crowe. I would say the only big 3 name actors would be the 2 obvious and Keith David, and maybe
Yeah.
Kim Basinger.
that's what. Yeah,
But she's in it for a cup of coffee, really. It had a May 20th, 2016 release date. That's where I think this movie messed up. It came out right in the smack dab of summer, right when I think X-Men was coming out too.
And it was a couple weeks after Civil War.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks after Civil War, a week or two before Tarzan, a week or two before X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep.
So this movie kind of got crashed. I think this movie would have done phenomenal if released in March,
yeah.
but I think
Or even September.
they were trying to stay away from March because of Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This movie just did not make any money, guys. But we're gonna get ready to dig into it. Zach, first time you've seen this movie, do you remember? And if so, how was it revisiting it for the podcast?
So, I didn't see this in the theater. The first time I saw it was on Blu-ray when it was released later in the year, probably September, October. I really, really liked it. I thought it hit home really well. I thought the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe was excellent. And Grace Rice, who plays the daughter, in moments she stole the whole movie. I thought it was funny, action-packed. This time it didn't. I just didn't think it hit well this time.
Which is weird. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Craig, me and you actually got to see this opening weekend when it came out in the movie theaters. We went to Harkins and
we?
seen it. Yeah, it was. We laughed
did.
our asses
Yeah.
off. Yeah, that's where I first originally saw it, and it was a fun ride. I seen it. I don't think I've seen it honestly since then.
No, I think I might have done like a quick try to watch it and never didn't finish it. But yeah, I think this was my second watch since then.
This was my second full-time watch last night, getting ready for the episode, and I honestly, same words as Zach. I thought it was fun, a good time.
thought it was too long.
I had a lot of issues with the pacing. I thought it was a little too long. It felt like it was a 2 hour and 30-minute movie.
It did.
But let's dig into it. So you guys can check this movie now out on Hulu, or you can go check it up if you want to get the physical copy. I've seen it out there somewhere for like $7. The Nice Guys, Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe. You get introduced to them in the first like 10 minutes. What do you guys think of the opening credits? Very 1977 feels.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to see a lot of good opening credits anymore.
It looked like they kind of painted as well the 70s rundown Hollywood, kind of like a
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
yeah.
I did get the vibes of. What did you guys think of the death of Misty Mountains? How the kid's looking at the dirty magazine and then the car just. You can see the car in the background.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of gives you the point of what the movie's about in the first, 2.5 minutes. And, it's kind of in the funniest way possible. It's nothing gruesome. It's just like kids looking at the magazine. And the actor who he's looking at is the one who crashes and comes to his house.
I forgot how gruesome this movie was. Like, it's rated R, and you get to see almost everything, whether it's blood, nudity.
Yeah.
I
think that's the point.
Language. No, I like it. I dig it. But I wonder if this has anything to do with the amount of money that it made.
Yeah. I'm almost positive.
Almost feel like it's almost like a hard R, too.
Well, the plot, you're dealing with the death of a porn star. I don't think that's really going to attract a lot of people, to be honest. Even though you have two very good actors in it.
Speaking of the actors, you get introduced to Jackson and Holland literally in the first 10 minutes. Russell Crowe's introduction, I think, is a little bit better than Holland's introduction. Holland's introduction, you're like, okay, I see where this is going. He's going to be the young, dim-witted, drunk all the time cop.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Crowe's just like down to business. He tells the little girl, "Hey, you're $7 short. I'm not going to do anything less."
It's just a little girl. You'd expect them to have some sort of sympathy and be like, "It's all right. You've paid the bulk of it. I'll handle it." But he's like, "No,
nope.
You're $7 short. If you want my services, they're going to pay in full because somebody else will pay in full."
But the little girl that he takes the money from is Amelia. That Jackson is, taking the money from.
Yeah.
He's the one who initially is going to protect Amelia, and Holland, Ryan Gosling, is looking for Amelia. So this leads into, Ryan Gosling's going around looking to do what he can to look for Amelia. What do you guys think of the scene where he puts the towel
wrap around his hand,
and then he punches through the glass and he has to go to the emergency room?
I laughed out loud at several parts in this movie. I laughed out loud, and it was just like, I don't know, the comedy in this movie. When there was comedy, it was very, very well done. And I think this movie has a lot of parts that are very well done. But like you said, it just the runtime, I think, kind of gets it a little bit. Yeah.
The first time that Jackson meets Holland, I think, is really funny. You kind of feel sorry for Ryan Gosling's character because
he doesn't even know what's happening.
Yeah,
when he comes in.
And Jackson just goes in there and punches him right in the mouth and probably busts his nose, and then roughs him up a little bit. I had a cringe though when he broke his arm and he was telling him exactly what he was breaking or fracturing.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, this is gonna come, and it
was funny because he's like, "You're gonna stay away from Amelia." He's like, "Okay, dude, you got it. I understand." And he reaches for the gun in the cookie jar, and he roughs him up some more, and he's like, "I don't think you got it." He's like, "Yeah, dude, I got it." And then he goes for the gun on the floor, and he's like, "See, I just don't think you've learned your lesson." And just the back and forth comedy between Holland and Russell Crowe's character Jackson, it was almost perfect at that initial
meeting,
3-minute meeting, to where you're just like, if it's going to be like this the entire way through,
we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
And I think even in the introduction to the characters, the kind of like the commentary between the two characters of their introduction, I thought was actually quite a nice touch. Kind of that feels like a 70s trope in detective films. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. The whole first 10 minutes of the movie when you get introduced to these two characters, and he breaks his arm and says, just leave Millie alone, or I won't have any trouble.
Yeah.
And then they go their separate way. But then it's later in the film you kind of realize it's like, oh, they're kind of intertwined, and they don't really realize it.
Yeah.
So,
but the initial individual stories of their first detective work where they they're starting the same case, but before they meet, Russell Crowe's character is dealing with the girl, and he's very hard ass and down to business, whereas Ryan Gosling is meeting with the old lady, and she's like, I haven't seen my husband since the funeral, and he's looking around and he sees the urn where he's dead, and he's like, when did you last see him? She's like, the funeral. He's just like, oh shit,
I'll keep a lookout.
let me take your money. I'll keep looking.
And that's pretty much what he says in the movie. He's like, the sun goes up and the sun goes down, and I just keep moving. That's detective work. Nothing changes. Where he's pretty much just found a niche, kind of like Paul Dano's character in what was the Western one that we watched?
Oh, There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood, where he's just kind of like, people are going to believe me if I'm doing this detective work. I don't have to produce results because I am searching. I am doing the detective work, and if I come up with results or not, I'm still going to get paid. And and his daughter kind of tells him that. She's like, you're the worst detective. You don't do shit. So
yeah. And then I find it interesting. He sees the little girl, Ryan Gosling's daughter, playing in the field, and then on the way out from whipping Ryan Gosling's ass, she's like, "Are you a friend of my dad's?" Oh yeah, I'm a huge.
We're business associates.
Yeah. She offers him a yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
And then that leads him to oh damn, I'm gonna get a case of yoo-hoo.
These are pretty good. Yeah.
It reminded me of somebody bringing up a random Denzel movie, and I'm like, I'm gonna go buy Denzel movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how we are with a lot of stuff. If you haven't had something and he says 30 years, you try it and you're like, why haven't I had this in a long time? And that's with anything. It could be a really good movie, really good actor, and you're like, I haven't seen Denzel, or some Red and Blues pizza. You're like, man, look, try this pizza out, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go get some Red and Blues pizza.
Yeah.
Good promotion.
Jackson, though, on the way home, he gets ambushed by the little creepy looking dude and Keith David's character.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of that scene? Just where it's he gets ambushed. He's gonna get out. Kind of scot free. But the guy who gets the money, the blue face.
Mm-hmm.
I found it so hilarious that he was picking up the fish.
Yeah.
And throwing them at that.
Don't do the fish. Russell Crowe's so upset about it.
That's funny though.
But it's like one of those things where he's too afraid to kill or shoot at Russell Crowe, so he's just doing anything and everything because he's so just frustrated at what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's funny that Russell Crowe's basically breaking down everything that's happening at the moment. He's like, see, your first mistake was this. It's like, now you've just pissed me off and made an enemy. And of course we see him later on in the movie, but
I think even the funny thing about it is that even Keith David's character is like, you're an idiot. Just stop. Just stand over there. Don't do any more damage. But no, I mean, and the plot kind of progresses of Ryan Gosling, Holland's character is interviewing the grandmother or the mother of Misty, and it's like, I've seen my daughter, and it's just like, no.
Did she throw off some good vibes to you? The guy he was interviewing?
Oh,
she played the Aunt May
Twister.
from
Yeah,
Twister.
Yeah, basically, everything goes back to Twister.
'Tis the season.
But no, she's convinced that she's seen her daughter, and it's just like, no, it was right there. She was standing by the desk, right by next to the wall, and he's just kind of thinking like, okay, you're crazy, you're old, you're crazy.
She's been dead since Tuesday, and you said it was 2 days later. There's absolutely no way. And he doesn't believe her because she has Coke bottles for glasses.
Yeah.
And he tells Russell Crowe, he's like, she's blind. She has Coke bottle for glasses. There's no way she saw her niece.
Yeah. And they finally meet up, and he's kind of afraid a little bit of like, okay, you're gonna beat me up again. It's like, no,
because there's the bathroom scene.
Yeah, my God, the bathroom! I was laughing out loud when that happened because he's like, turn around. He's like, there's a mirror here. He's like,
turn around anyway.
Close your eyes.
And he keeps trying to kick the door open and it just keeps shutting. I feel like maybe. Do you think this movie should have been more comedic, or did you like the mixture of just throughout the movie?
I thought it was good because it was sprinkled in at certain places where you're like, okay, he's not meaning to be this like dim-witted. It just kind of happens on its own, and it's not because he's drunk. I mean, it does sometimes because he's drunk, but like he's just a dim-witted character from the get-go, and it's not really his fault.
I don't think that I watched The Nice Guys in between my binge of that '70s show, and I kept thinking about Ashton Kutcher whenever I kept looking at Ryan Gosling's character, because they're both of those characters are so like Craig said, dim-witted.
Well, I don't. To be honest, it's a little bit of dim-wit, but it's also just like Gosling's character is much more like a slapstick like character. I mean, there's a lot of like physical comedy with him, like where he like falls off the ledge and tramples down the hill, or when he's like swimming with the mermaids trying to ask him questions at the party. But like Russell Crowe, his character is more of like the dry sense of humor of like stating the obvious, and like Ryan Gosling looks at him and is like, yeah, I knew that, like, but did you though? It's just that back and forth between them.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, Ryan Gosling kind of does know that because there's throughout the entire movie, they're like, they're thinking that they are smarter than him, and then he's like, "Oh, you mean the address that you showed me? That's not a flight. That's an apartment." And
yeah,
it's his character. He just doesn't give a shit about his job, and it rubs off as he's dumb. But it's
like when they went to the protest group. He's like, "What are you guys doing?
Protesting the air."
It's like, so the mask didn't save you?
Who wants to like $20?
No, he said, which one of you cock and balls? I think he's basically saying, like, which one of you guys who don't care about this but just want to be around chicks?
That's funny.
It is funny.
Yeah, I didn't think about that till
very
now.
witty comedy where the dialogue, if you don't catch it, you don't think about it. And that's all he was doing was he was calling up the guys who are there to probably try and get laid from other protesters, and that's why he said it.
It's super, super funny.
And I think even
I didn't think about that.
Even the bowling alley scene where they're just kind of sitting there talking about the case, and his daughter and Ryan Gosling's daughter comes up, and like she is so much. I don't want to say. I think you're right, Craig. I think he's like he acts stupid, but he's a very smart detective.
Yeah.
But his daughter's not afraid to state the obvious and like say like, well, you're a terrible cop, and Russell Crowe kind of agrees with her to a certain point. But she's very good at figuring out the pieces as well.
And she's like, hey, how much would you charge to take care of this girl?
Janet, who's at the birthday party. Yeah. Like, that was the funniest part about it, because she's like, I got this girl, Janet. He's like, how tall is she?
She big girl?
Like, she's decent size. He's like, no, stop. We're done here.
And he gets trying to tell her, like, stop saying and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... He's like, Dad, there's like a bunch of whores here and stuff. He's like, just say whores. And then the girl's like, we were doing like anal and stuff. Just say
anal. See, and that's the thing about this movie. Where like I'm thinking about it, like we're talking about it. It's like, yeah, this is a funny film, but just
you didn't have a good time watching it.
This time around.
Let's talk about it. Why was this movie not a success? I mean, it has everything that you need to sprinkle in to make good money at the box office. Even the Blu-ray sales were down. I don't know. I'd like to, if I could find some way to see the numbers on Hulu, I'd like to see what that is. But it had a budget of $50 million, and it only made $13 million technically after its budget. It made $63 million. I just want to know, like, one, why wasn't this movie? How come more people didn't go out and see this movie?
Well,
and then why hasn't there been funny nitwitted stuff like this since?
Yeah, so to answer the first one, I do agree with what we initially said was where it landed in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't think Russell Crowe was at the top of his game in the people's eyes at this time. And so when people saw Russell Crowe, they were just kind of like, eh. Ryan Gosling, yeah, he's nice to look at, but is he really going to be that good? There was no other person that stood out in this movie where they were like, I got to go see that. There's Tom Cruise, there's RDJ at this time, and everybody was just, I think, so in tune with the Marvel craze where you're getting Civil War.
Yeah, you had so many superhero movies come out that time.
The release of this was just terrible. I mean, it was sandwiched in between Civil War and Apocalypse, and it also came out the same day as Neighbors 2, which has Seth Rogen and Zac Efron.
Neighbors 2 was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, and then this movie was funny too, but I think Seth Rogen and Zac Efron just have that appeal to them a little bit more than what Ryan Gosling. Even though I do think that this movie,
and it was a sequel, people are like, "Oh, I love the first one. I got to go see the second one."
Whereas this one, they weren't sure what they were going to get.
And then I think it got killed because later in that next month was
Legend of Tarzan,
Teenage Mutant
Star Trek,
Teenage Mutant Ninjas, The Conjuring 2, Warcraft, Finding Dory, which is a huge success, Independence Resurgence, which sucks. And then in July, I mean, it was just gone because, I mean, yeah, it was Tarzan, The Purge, Election Year, Ghostbusters, Star Trek.
Yeah. So I think the mixture of it being rated R, with basically being about the death of a porn star, with language, nudity, and violence. You're not taking kids to see it. The adults are all going to see.
Was 2016 maybe one of the last good years of like
summer films?
Just movies in general. You had every single Warner Brothers, Sony, Marvel, DC, Disney. Everybody was throwing out huge movies at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be curious to see what 17 and 18 threw out, but I do think after that it kind of went down a little bit.
So I'll name off the top 5 films of 2016. Number 5, The Jungle Book remake. Number 4, The Secret Life of Pets. Number 3, Civil War. Number 2, Finding Dory, and number 1, Rogue One. Rogue One was number 1 that year. And also also that year was Deadpool, Zootopia, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, and Sing.
I mean, all of those, like, even though Suicide Squad didn't necessarily do, like,
they're all really highly anticipated movies.
Yeah.
The names of those movies.
Nobody, of course, you look back at it now, the review for Batman vs Superman is crap, which I think we're going to get into this year.
And Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but, that's the first time people had seen any of that on the silver screen, on the big screen, So.
And then Secret Life with Pets, you had Kevin Hart, who, I mean, when kids were like, I want to see that movie, you're like, you have the adults who were like, oh, it's got Kevin Hart. I'm sure it's going to be like decently funny.
Yeah. So
I do think just mixing all of that in the pot is where this movie failed.
But I mean, yeah. And then, like I said, hopefully, I'm going to try to dig into some Hulu clicks and see if I can't find. But I just, I think this is a good episode to talk about how this movie is slightly underrated. Yeah.
It's garnered a cult following. Since release, so.
It's clear, I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, clearly people have either discovered it on streaming service or Blu-ray or word of mouth, and so this film has garnered love since its release.
And I'm curious to see when the emails are read, like how many people watch this because we were doing it on our episode.
Oh yeah, we have a few this week about first time watches, but not a lot. Still digging into some Selena emails as well. After the protest, the kid who gets the $20, he takes you to the burnt house, and then one of the laugh out loud moments of the movie, you meet the little kid on the bike.
And our theater was dying.
Very, very hilarious. I'm not going to say what he said, but I mean,
I'll say it.
He had a girthy package, is what he was saying. He's like, they wanted me to be in the movie.
And I love Ryan Gosling. So I was like, no, get out of here.
Yeah, no, we just gave you $20. We're not giving you another $20.
Well, no, because he pulls up and he's like, hey, do you know Dean who lived here? He's like, yeah, I might have known something. And the guy's like, hey, we'll give you $20. He's like, I didn't say I was going to give him $20. And then, they get the information because they give him the 20 and they start walking off. He's like, sure you don't want to see it? It's pretty big. And you're just sitting there like, this kid's dying, like 13 or 14 on a bike, just like trying to sell a visual of his junk to these police officers or detectives.
Zach, I was going to ask you, because you look at a lot of trivia stuff for the top 4. Did you see anything about these being CGI cigarettes, or was Ryan Gosling just in there just puffing it up, man? Because he seemed
I think those were real.
He
Those are real. I
seamlessly
think those
just
are
kept.
real. There was nothing in there about like CGI
and I think
cigarettes.
that's just him like dedicating itself to a character who is in.
Do you think somebody like that who looks like Ryan Gosling? Do you think
Well-
maybe he has that kind of habit?
And they have like
And I'm sure they
vitamin
do.
E or vitamin C cigarettes, so they're like inhaling vitamins.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's not real. I don't think they're real. So
If they
You
were
never know.
though,
it's like, damn.
Yeah, if they were, and he was take after take. Yeah. No wonder he looked rough in some scenes.
there were some actors though. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I was watching some special feature. I think it was the Ghostbusters from the original movie. And back in the day when it was a scene where they were smoking, like even when they were off doing interviews, they were all just puff, puff, puff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if it's like that today, or if like somebody, like if an actor really has to smoke one, do they have to step out?
No, I think it's probably 2005, 2006. I remember them cracking down on smoking like in film, and so like it's either they made it where they are using like vitamin cigarettes or CGI cigarettes, and they actually put it in the rating, like rated PG-13 for so and so, and smoking.
Oh,
So-
that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Nice. Interesting. Anyways,
Damn
trying to promote
cigarettes.
lung cancer.
I forgot about that. That's true. So after you meet the little boy on the bike, you go to the party scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a porno party. I don't know what's really going on here, but
And the daughter smuggles herself.
the,
in the
the
trunk.
daughter smuggles herself in there, and that's where you get introduced to some hilarious scenes. Russell Crowe putting the drink on the lady's behind.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling swimming with the mermaids. Russell Crowe accidentally goes into like a little room where they're watching the pornography video, and
he
that's
sees
where he
his
sees the daughter.
Yeah. He's like, it's like, hey man, he's like, why are you showing this girl the porno? He's like, oh man, she's wanting to watch it. He's like, she's underage, and then she's like, well, I'm in the older lady's like, well, I'm in it, and he's like, just go home.
But that's where you kind of get a little cool after Ryan Gosling falls over the ledge and he sees the dead body while he's trying to light the cigarette, and he's just like, get the fuck down here, get out of here.
He's like, hey, she's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just looking for my gun.
Which is Amelia.
Yeah.
Zach, what would you say is the MacGuffin in this movie? The film? Like the actual film that they end up looking for, or Amelia?
Yep. I would say the film, because ultimately they're trying to find Amelia, and it kind of gets pushed to the side, even though who ends up having the film?
Chet, whenever he's doing he's a projectionist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
at the
yeah.
car show.
Yeah.
He's the one that technically got away.
Well, it's spliced into the actual film that they're going
Right.
to show at
So
the car show.
He's the one that kind of like, he's the one that did not die at the moment.
Yeah.
Well,
So he's the last surviving one that could actually get the film to be seen.
so technically when they went to Dean's house, they had access to the film.
Yeah.
And it all happens like, it's funny that you never realize this until I just did just now. They go to the protest and they ask for a guy to tell them where Amelia is, and he tells them, and he shows them everything, and he says all the film burnt, knowing that he still had it. So he gave them all the information except for
He's still going to show the
where
film.
the film is.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't sure who or what side they were on.
And you really don't need Amelia at all.
no,
Mhm.
she's
They think she's the key to everything, when all in reality the key to everything is Chet.
right.
Yep.
And he splices the film and gets the film shown. But I like it because it's kind of the whole time they
It's
want you
look
to
over here.
Yeah, exactly. To the audience, and to the actual bad guys,
Yeah.
in quotations of the movie. Pretty cool. So you see the dead body, and then you get to
Well, then they throw the dead body over the fence
Under the party.
into the party on the table.
run.
And yeah, it's funny because Russell Crowe's character is like, how'd you get down here? He's like, did you fall?
He knew exactly what happened.
And he's just like, no, I just came down here. It's like, you fell.
Meeting Judith right off the bat, which is Kim Basinger,
Mhm.
already kind of hints and like, man, I don't trust her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Department of Justice, government corrupt. Makes sense.
What do you guys think of the actress? She's not really in a lot of stuff. I don't know when we'll ever get to talk about her again.
Who, Amelia?
Kim Basinger. She's done stuff like L.A. Confidential. She was obviously the first. She was in Batman from 1989.
L.A.
She's-
Confidential.
Yeah, she hasn't really done a lot of stuff, but I still feel like whenever she's on screen and whatever she's doing, she's pretty good.
Her last well, quote unquote big movie was 50 Shades Freed. She was in the 50 Shades of Grey movies.
Oh, nice. I wonder if she
So-
shows anything.
Oh, probably not. And then the Nice Guys was she was kind of doing Nice Guys and 50 Shades of Grey in between all that. Grudge Match.
I recently bought that for $2.
Cellular. Have you ever seen that?
I have it. Jason Statham. Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray.
She's one of those actresses that 8 Mile.
Oh yeah, who could forget?
She's one of those actors that just
When she shows up, man.
she's there. Yeah, I think she's a good actress. She just doesn't act a lot anymore.
You learn about the fire after you meet Judith.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's also revealed by that point, everyone that was associated with the film, they're killing them off, one by one. Amelia's the last one standing. And Amelia is the daughter of Kim Basinger, right?
yes.
And, yeah.
And at that point, you kind of skip a little bit of ahead. You get some small dialogue scenes. I really feel like this movie was an hour and 55 minutes. I really think this movie could have been about an hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah.
There was some scenes where I was kind of twiddling my thumbs, looking on my phone, and then when I got back to the movie, I'm like, I didn't miss nothing.
Yeah. Especially if you've seen it once or twice before. Yeah, I think the party is a little too long. I think
it's the side hustling of
It
them
is.
driving around.
Yeah.
And having the little bickers back and forth, like the scene where Ryan Gosling fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
The Bumblebee Dream,
The Bumblebee Dream, even though that was kind of funny, I feel like that could have been taken out.
Yeah.
That really felt like a deleted scene.
It did.
When I was watching it, I looked down and looked at that scene. I'm like, did I hit a button or something on the remote? Because I was watching on a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Well,
why is this in here?
And and the only reason it is in there is because it's revealed that the
Bumblebee tuna?
the briefcase that they get that the governor gives them is fake
money.
Fake money, yeah.
That's really the only way to
Establish that connection.
Because they have the wreck and the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny that Ryan Gosling's just head over heels for Tally, and he's just like
He's
so disappointed.
Yeah. Even after she slips and hits her head, he puts a pillow underneath her.
Yeah.
He's still, even up to this point, he's just head over heels for her, and it's
And that's the thing that
Now that's funny.
it's the little character moments that they do. It's just putting the pillow under
It's the little
her
things.
head of
he's like, man, somebody swapped out the briefcase after you. She's like, no. He's like, no, she packed it herself.
him swimming with the mermaids, and you can clearly tell he's trying to ask them questions underwater. It's just yeah, that's what this is funny.
Well, and he tells Russell Crowe, he's like, were you in the pool? He's like, yeah, I was asking the mermaids questions. What were you doing? So I was working. What were you doing? And he assumes that Russell Crowe is never doing anything, and he's just like, am I the only one doing anything here? And he's so far indulged in himself that he just assumes that nobody else is ever, doing their part.
Yeah. I mean, and talk about Ryan Gosling as an actor, man. I mean, looking at his filmography, I mean, Blade Runner 2049, First Man, La La Land, The Big Short, Gangster Squad, The Ides of March, Drive, which I think you wanted to talk about sometime this year, Crazy Stupid Love.
No, he's had a great
Filmography,
2010s.
yeah. Fracture, The Notebook, which is a lot of go-to. So
Remember the Titans?
yeah, Remember the Titans, Young Hercules.
No, I mean, when we talk about discographies, filmographies for actors,
I mean, good lord.
under the radar,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Does he got any projects coming up, Zach?
He has a movie coming out this year called The Gray Man.
Isn't
with,
he also Lightyear?
No, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans is Lightyear.
Ugh.
The Gray Man actually has Chris Evans, Ana de Armas. That's coming out this year. Billy Bob Thornton. Barbie, which I guess is going to be the new Margot Robbie movie.
Is he Ken?
Yep.
No, Ryan Gosling is Ken.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I'd buy that for $1.
And I guess he's going to be the Wolfman. They're kind of doing the Universal monsters, and he's going to be the Wolfman.
Ooh.
So,
Universal, like King Kong?
like Dracula. Frankenstein.
Is this going to be still connected with the Tom Cruise mummy?
No.
Oh.
It's going to be part of like the Invisible Man, maybe.
Oh.
It was like kind of interesting.
Because I was like, oh, Russell Crowe was
Jekyll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
some of the small talking parts with Amelia, like when they had her held at the house, I thought
that could be cut.
Some of those could have been cut, because eventually she's a throwaway character.
Yeah,
because she
ultimately.
just.
Well, I'll say it at the end, but I don't want to say it right now. But yeah.
You got the penthouse scene though, where they're like
they go up in the theater.
You don't want to go up in the elevator, and they go up in the elevator anyway. And talk about some funny scenes with them two again. People are flying out the windows and they're looking out of the elevator doors. Funny stuff.
And they just close the. Well, Ryan Gosling's like close, like repeatedly pressing the button, and then they just go down, and you hear that glass shatter. And it was like you could almost tell at that point when the camera's facing them and they're looking out behind at the city. You can almost tell at that point like somebody's going to come falling down behind them. And sure enough, it did.
Not too shortly after that, you meet John Boy, played by Matt Bomer. What'd you guys think of that character? He's kind of like the last saving grace to make sure that nobody comes out living. What'd you guys think of him as the main bad guy? Or at least the main muscle behind the brains.
I didn't like him in that role.
I don't even know who he is, to be honest with you.
He's had some episodes in
White Collar is like his main thing.
White Collar was his main thing. American Horror Story.
Yeah.
He's been in that quite a bit.
Oh, he was Ken in Magic Mike. Okay. I know who he is.
Magic Mike.
Oh, that it comes to mind.
It popped in my head.
Yeah, something popped in your head. So, but then, they get down to the car show and they start showing the film. Well, they start showing the film and they split up and they go.
But before that, though, you have Amelia's death.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God. She goes up to John's car and she's like, probably like, help save me. And he's like, oh, she just fell in my lap.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And you see her, she runs out to the car and you're like, it's going to be him. And of course it is because you see the inside of the cabin. And
at that point, even though I had seen this before, when I rewatched that last night, that scene where she died kind of pissed me off. Because I'm like, almost the whole movie was dedicated to them finding her.
Amelia.
And then she just died. Even though she should have just stayed where they told her to stay and she would have been alive.
Yeah, I mean.
Even though that's what the movie was supposed to do, I think.
I'll say it now. I guess I'll say it now. We're pretty close to the end. The whole movie is pointless.
You think?
They get the film. They take it to court.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, go ahead.
The car dealerships walk off scotch-free. And they're just like, well, here's our nice guys business slogan. And Russell Crowe basically tells Ryan Gosling the same thing that he said. He's like, sun goes up, sun goes down.
I look like a Puerto Rican, he says.
Yeah, well, he's like, sun goes up, sun goes down, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And so they're basically just like, well, we did our shit, we got paid, nothing changes, on to another case. And that's it. That's the movie. And I think watching it this time around, again,
did it irritate you?
Again, for, with what we do, we break down the film, we find, we're like, okay, what's the point of the movie? What's the plot? What happens at the end? What's the payoff?
Sometimes this podcast kind of irritates me because it's like you're watching a movie and you're trying to break it down and you're like,
there's no. The movie was basically pointless. It was just a slapstick comedy with no payoff. And it kind of sucks at this point when you're watching it to figure all this stuff out because you're like, there's got to be something.
Well, and it sucks because this movie made no money. It was kind of a quote unquote box office flop. Yeah, I mean it's a cult classic, but it's not gonna garner a sequel. No. And even Shane Black said, he would like to make another one, but it doesn't justify the means of doing it.
This is the kind of movie that gets a sequel or a spin-off series like 20 years later.
Well, they're talking about doing like a TV series,
21 Jump Street,
with all female, like basically doing the female treatment of it.
What did we not learn our lesson with the Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
And what was it, Oceans?
8.
Ocean's 8 was pretty good. It's not something that I'd go back and just be like, oh, this is amazing, but the cast at least kept it interesting.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that when you explain it like that, yeah, there was kind of like no payoff. Chet got beat up really bad. The girl, Amelia, died.
Amelia dies. Tally.
She walks away. She doesn't die. Kim Basinger walks off scot free, even though she's
Department of Justice.
the one who
she's in jail for
orchestrated
5
it.
years.
They don't even get any money. The
Yeah.
nice guys, they don't, you know. But
You don't find out what happens. Like, do they have to go back and? Well, if they're getting off scotch free, they're not fixing the air quality.
No.
So like,
Well, maybe the point of it was, it was like a misstep, but they still get to create their business or whatever. They have like a flyer in the newspaper that people can call them.
I think that's if there was any kind of small payoff for the two characters,
it's
was
that they find their way and
Yeah.
they're together for business opportunity instead of doing
Yeah.
their own. Yeah, and another thing could be, probably Ryan Gosling comes to grips with what he is and that he's not some drunk anymore. Although
he's not the world's worst detective.
Russell Crowe was pretty drunk at the end.
Yeah.
But I think that's all it is. He
Enjoy
becomes a better father.
Enjoy the ride along because there's really no payoff.
Right.
Yeah.
But since I did jump a little bit further, I want to go back to the auto show, and I think you know which part I'm going to talk about, where Ryan Gosling goes for cover on the car that's on the turn wheel.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and he goes over the hood. And he's like, what? And he starts getting shot at. We died in the theater when that happened, and I mean, like,
even the scene where he sees that Talia is like turning her back on him, and he doesn't want to take it. And he falls to the ground and starts rubbing on Russell Crowe's ankle.
He's like, "Where's the gun?" He's like,
hell are you
"What are you
doing?"
talking about?" And at the time, you're thinking like, "What do you mean? There's like the gun's got to be there." And he's like, "No, you dreamt it." And then you're like, "That's when they're in the car and he falls asleep at the wheel." And so like that's another thing that kind of pays
A little
payoff for that scene. But again, without that scene, you don't get that little joke in there. So I guess it kind of has a payoff. But yeah, man, I agree. This movie should be cut down 15, 20 minutes easily.
Yeah. The scene where the daughter throws the cold coffee on her. Like, why did you throw cold coffee on me?
I thought it was hot. And then she slips and busts her ass, and he's like, well, I guess that worked.
I mean, overall, it's a fun movie.
If you got 2 hours to kill and you want to laugh a little bit,
especially if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. I think it's good. It's a really good watch as a first time watch. The second or third time, you're like, okay,
Yeah, and I do agree with you. I think this is one of those movies where, the jokes, when you hear the jokes, they're funny again at the point in time, but when you realize at the end, like, that's it, that's the movie, I think that's when you kind of get bummed out a little bit. But when you're watching it and you don't have issues with the pacing, you're laughing your ass off the entire way through, and you're enjoying the chemistry between the two. So
definitely not a throwaway movie, nor is it a throwaway episode.
No.
Like, I think this will be a fun episode for people to go back and just, hey, if you're listening to this conversation, you want to see what we're talking about. I mean, it's free. If you have Hulu, go check it out and turn on Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth the watch, 100%.
Especially if you're a fan of Ryan Gosling. He's in throughout the whole movie. He had La La Land that year, which was a huge success.
Yeah.
And, I think he's just one of those actors, I think, who is a movie or two away from being on that Leo status. I truly believe that.
I kind of think he's already there. He just doesn't have the name recognition.
That's why I think he's one or two movies away from being at that status.
Like he needs like a Marvel or something like.
No. I don't even think he needs that. I think he needs like back-to-back movies to where he's nominated for a big award.
Like this, Nice Guy. Well, he didn't get nominated, but Nice Guys in La La Land.
Like, I think if you say if La La Land and First Man, he was nominated for both.
He was for La La Land. He wasn't for First Man.
So, and I think it's just one of those, like, you put Leo up on the name of a movie, people are going to go see it or turn on Netflix because of his name.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Gosling just needs one or two movies to push him up to that status.
Yeah, because he has all the tools. He has the looks. He has
he's funny,
the acting ability. He's funny. He's serious when he needs to be.
And personally, from what I read all the time, he's a super, super nice guy too.
Yeah.
And I know that always like kind of pushes people up there. So I mean, but if he has to be in a Marvel movie to be a little bit more famous or to be a
Just kind of like
household name,
household, yeah.
you know,
But I
then
don't think he. I think as an actor, he doesn't. I don't think he needs to do it.
He doesn't need Marvel, but I think it would put him in that
benefit
status.
him. Yeah.
I think, and we're going to talk about it in a few weeks, but I think with him given a clean shaven, growing out his hair a little bit longer, I think he could have been a pretty good Solo. Especially,
yeah.
especially with how cocky he is and how funny and nitwitted he could have been.
Well, he could have been a good Star-Lord.
Yeah. Well, I think he would have been a perfect Solo. We'll talk about it in a few weeks, but a movie like that or two to just, oh yeah, he's in that one movie.
Yeah.
He's just not pushing out movies like
like
a Chris Pratt or somebody.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt's unfortunately is a household name because of all the Jurassic Worlds or Marvel movies
he
he's
just
doing.
got put in the right position.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I think
And I think Ryan
Gosling
got
is
10
head
times
and-
better.
Yeah, absolutely. Head and shoulders above
Knees and toes.
Chris Pratt, but he hasn't had those roles where he's like
He's very similar to someone like we're going to be talking about next week, the Christian Bale. He's very capable of doing
a movie like that,
big blockbusters with Big Man or something small like Ford versus Ferrari or American Psycho.
Yeah.
Oof, I think next week is gonna be fun. Do you guys have any favorite scenes that you want to go through with the nice guys before we give this movie a star rating?
I mean, there's a lot of scenes in this movie where you could point to it and be like, that's the funniest part of this movie. And I think that's one of the best things about this film is it's not like
it's memorable.
Oh, minute 32 when they're at the house, that's the best part of this movie. It's like, no, when
you have a handful of memorable scenes.
A funny scene, it's a funny scene and it stands alone.
Yeah.
So I like when he's hiding behind the car on the turn wheel and he thinks he has cover but he doesn't. I like the initial meetup between the two. And the elevator scene. So that'll be my 3.
I would have to say Ryan Gosling jumping down and looking for the gun in the ankle. Where he's lighting the cigarette and he turns around and sees the dead body. He starts looks like he's getting ready to gag. Ryan Gosling's mannerisms in this movie are hysterical.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like I'm not impressed, I am. They're really, really hysterical. Ryan Gosling he's funny throughout the whole movie. And then if I had to name one more, it would be the bathroom scene. Real, real funny. Great chemistry between the two too.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you? You have any one or two that you want to name off?
Yeah. Overall, just the chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling was phenomenal. The elevator scene where they look out of the elevator down the hallway and there's shots fired and they get back in there, and then they see the guy fall out of the elevator and they're just like, oh, okay, so let's get back to the car.
Well, and they're in the elevator, and then the next thing you see is they're just a bat out of hell in the car driving away.
And another great scene, which we didn't talk about, was the house shootout, and they're dodging for cover, and Russell Crowe says, "Throw me a gun," and he throws it way, way outside the window. So it's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
So.
No, it's
this is a film that I've had the desire to rewatch it, and I'm glad we did it for the show. But it's now that I've seen it, I'm good.
All right, let's hear it then.
So,
are you giving us an it's fine rating, or what's your star rating for the movie?
No, honestly, I think this is a very good film. Great performances, great comedy, great action in some senses. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Oh,
honestly,
nice.
I think it's a really well filmed film, and I think people, if you have Hulu, definitely go check this out. So,
I'm gonna do just one step up below you. I'm gonna give this a 7. Just for the simple fact that I just did not think the pacing is there, and I was twiddling my thumbs a little bit during the movie. So with that being said, it didn't entertain me like it did. I was looking at my review from 2016, and I gave this originally an 8, and 8, 2 thumbs up, loved it. But the one step now is the rewatch was not as good for me. Maybe as it was for you. I don't know. No cigarette after the movie for me, if you get what I'm saying.
That's gross.
7 stars. I still think it's hilarious. Ryan Gosling steals the show. like Zach said, if you have it on Hulu, go check it out. The Nice Guys, 7 stars. Craig, what about you?
I'm going to give this 2 separate star ratings. As a first time watch, I could easily give this a 9 because you're not expecting that next scene, or you kind of know what's coming. As a first time watch, you're just enjoying everything as it comes, and I'm going to give that a 9. But as a second time and there on after, I'm going to give this a 7 because I do think the comedy when it hits is funny, but as the storytelling and the pacing goes, I think it lacks a little bit. So I'm going to give that a 7.
And then a great, like Craig brought it up, a great payoff to a great story would probably push this all up for maybe a 9 for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But like he said, you got a story that just kept building and building, but the payoff was
it's like you're chasing.
It's like a roller coaster.
You're chasing ghosts
Yeah.
through the entire movie. So
That's funny. I have the highest grade because I thought because you guys saw it in the theater and you had such a good time, you had the theater experience that it would be higher for you.
You know what though? That we've talked about that some before. Some of the theater experiences to where you just absolutely love it. It was just that the
It was a
theater,
theater experience.
and then the first time watch, and then that's why like I like doing stuff like this because our ratings can change time to time. You have the rewatchability. If it's got a good rewatchability, of course it's going to be a good movie.
right.
But if it's lackluster on that rewatchability, it may not be as good as you thought it once was.
Well, and I mean, technically, I did still give it a higher rating because that, first time watch for anybody, I think is going to be high
9, yeah.
for everybody.
So you could almost put your two together and maybe give it like a 7.5 or an 8.
I'll give it a 8 right in the middle. So we're at the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Some of you guys have already sent your emails about the Nice Guys, but I want more. Send in some more. CINEMEN921 at gmail.com, and we'll read them at the end of every show.
Ooh, the mail's here. That means we get to see our old friend, Mailbox.
So send us in some emails, and like you guys already know, even if you guys send it in on the social media accounts and in the social media messages, I will read those aloud as well. But I'm going to dig into the email box again. Send us in some emails at CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. Steven says, I've never seen The Nice Guys before this watch, and man, it was a completely underrated movie. I don't know how I'd have never seen this and how it skipped past me. 9 stars. Chelsea.
Hey, right on the money, dude.
Chelsea says, I'm surprised with Juan being such a huge Adam Sandler fan. You guys have not done more Adam Sandler movies. Juan, if you could pick one more Adam Sandler movie, which one would you pick?
We got to keep him at bay.
Got to.
Because if not, it would be the Cine-Men Adam Sandler podcast.
Honestly, I would want to show, and if nobody's seen it in a while, I would want to talk about Little Nicky. Like not just
Absolutely.
because not just because of how outlandish it is, but why this movie has such a cult following, but it like nobody tends
It's
to
not
even
like
bring it up
publicly
again.
talked about,
Yeah.
but it's very.
Maybe it has
it's a
some,
cult.
maybe because of religion and the devil. I don't know.
How you do that?
Omar says my top 5 JLo movies are number 5, Marry Me, number 4, Parker, number 3, Selena, number 2, Hustlers, and number 1 is that Anaconda. Jerry says Nice Guys was a little too cheesy for me. It's nothing special, just fine. 5 stars. 5 stars, pretty low. Coco Chris says, okay, if I could be real, I really enjoyed you guys reviewing movies that are mixed. I love to hear some conversations with a little older, maybe DC movies or Marvel movies. I just think it's fun to get some different reactions and maybe talking about some bad movies instead of everybody liking the movie all the time. Nice Guys was ass, 4 stars. So,
my chest.
So, with that being said, what do you guys think? A lot of people want us to just, I guess, argue and bicker and say, hey,
They want
this
some
is...
Lion King episodes.
They do want
Just
some Lion King
bitching.
episodes. Maybe Beauty and the Beast?
Oh no, I refuse to rewatch the live action Beauty and the Beast.
It's been a while since I've seen those.
I mean,
I think we're just going to have to dig into some some old DC movies maybe, or some Marvel Punisher, or some Fantastic Four.
Punisher, Blade.
Blade would be cool. Blade would be cool.
Touching my foot.
Um,
I don't. It's tough, because we sit here and like you said, this movie came about because of a top 5, and it's like top 5 movies you like, and it's hard to just be like, I want to do an episode on that movie because it's so shitty. It's tough, because you dread watching it.
Next week will be a little divisive then.
What's next week?
American Psycho.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Valerie says, I love musicals. If you guys could review some more musicals, that would be fine. Which ones would you guys pick and why? La La Land.
Yeah. La La Land.
Craig?
Musicals?
Pitch Perfect? Is that a musical?
In theory.
No.
The Sound of Music.
I rewatched Les Miserables with Russell Crowe a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed that.
Let me get some High School Musical action in here. I think that would be divisive.
Yeah, I think La La Land would be a good one to do.
I've never seen La La, so that would be a good one.
I really enjoyed the new West Side Story.
Yeah.
Doing a compare and contrast to the old one.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I thought it was pretty good. Terrence says, enjoyed last week's episode about Selena. So in depth. I really enjoyed listening to you guys talk about it. But I would also like to recommend if you guys could talk about more Spike Lee movies. Ooh. Spike Lee. Malcolm X.
Yeah. Is that a Spike Lee movie?
It is. It's a Spike Lee joint.
You wanted to do Black Klansman for a long time.
Black Klansman, yes.
The Five Bloods.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean...
Inside Man. That's a Spike Lee movie.
Spike Lee has a very original director
profile.
Style. So
yeah.
Barry says, have you guys ever thought about talking about the Hangover trilogy? And what's your thoughts on those films?
The first one's great. The other two are...
I almost looked at they kind of are.
The first one's like you're drinking, and then the other two are the Hangover.
I always look at it as like they're like the U.S. cellular towers, except it starts up and then goes down.
Yeah.
Like 1 is great, 2 is good, 3 is
I don't remember anything about the third one.
Me neither.
It's when they're in like Bangkok, right?
Oh, that's the second one.
Is it the second one?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I have no idea what the third one's about. Then
that's the Mandela effect. That's good. Yeah. It's good seeing movies like The Hangover get some kind of just being brought up, I guess. Janice says my top 5 J-Lo films are in this order: 5, Selena; 4, Made in Manhattan; 3, My Familia; 2, Enough; number 1, Hustlers.
I like some Made in Manhattan.
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
Sam G69. Nice Guys was funny, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again. 6 stars.
Yep.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. James says Batman is now on HBO Max. How excited are you guys? Is it a day one rewatch for you?
Clearly Craig did.
I loved the Batman episode.
I answered that question. I watched it today, so
I want to watch it again. I think I'll just watch it just to hear it again. But man, I'm really excited about the Dolby Atmos 4K coming out.
Yeah.
HBO Max is Dolby Atmos.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Everything that comes out is kind of like pushed to that level now.
I will say this. I saw that the director's commentary, and the commentary is not going to be on the Blu-ray. It's going to be an Apple exclusive.
Really?
Well, thank God for Apple.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean that so I'm guessing that the digital copy is going to be an Apple's exclusive?
I guess so.
That doesn't make any sense either. Because on HBO Max,
he has audio commentary on the deleted scenes, but he's not going to do one for the movie. He usually does.
No, I think Apple's going to have an exclusive version of it.
Oh,
I think
they
paid to have a certain pool for it.
Well, Johnny will put out the money and get it.
No, I don't. You know what though? I don't like a lot of director commentaries, and I know I'm a huge physical media guy. I love me some cinema.
Right there with you.
But I'm not.
I don't care that much about what the director is feeling at that point in time whenever he shot the film.
Now there's only a few directors that I'll watch commentary with. Quentin Tarantino's one.
Seth Rogen.
And then I did it with the Francis Ford Coppola one with The Godfather. Oh my god. But stuff like that I'll do. But
Yeah, I don't want to go watch Spider-Man again to hear.
now, what if they had Toby, Andrew, and Tom Holland
Talking about
commentary?
it? Oh, yeah. But I don't want. Yeah, it's different. Because they could be like, oh, yeah, this part in the film, we all had the idea to point at each other and do the Spider-Man meme. Yeah, like, that would be funny to hear them actually say, like, this is what we were thinking when this scene was coming up. I don't want to hear the director go, yeah, well,
We told him to do this.
I
and,
think
yeah.
this building was going to be green, but we said no, it needs to be white. Like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Sean says, I really enjoyed The Nice Guys. Never seen it before. Funny all the way through. 9 stars. We'll end it on a positive sponsor email. Quentin says, Red and Blues Pizza is really good, and the prices were great. I was able to feed the entire family for less than $40. I tried the calzone, 2 different kinds of pizzas, and a gyro salad. Really amazing, and both were fantastic. Great food. Thank you for the recommendation.
That's what we do here. We love to see other people enjoy.
Feed your fucking faces. No, it's good to hear stuff like that. And that's why so far we try to keep all of the sponsors local, so everybody who can hear can just go out there and try it.
Although we are kind of, worldwide. I don't want to brag.
We are worldwide. And speaking of worldwide, we had our first ever 500 downloads in Finland last week.
Nice.
I don't even think I can get 500 downloads like in New Mexico, but we hit 500 in Finland.
We're spreading like wildfire over there.
Yeah, Finland. I don't even, are they listening to us or are you just... I don't know.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah, this fucking guy.
He says girthy. We want to hear it. If you're one of those 500, reach out, say hello,
send us an email.
Yeah.
Send us, and you know what? We're getting ready to get some. I think it's time for the top 5 barbecue items to make a comeback. I think it's time for part 2, guys.
Revisit it.
I think it's time for part 2 because last year's email.
Okay.
We left mouth watering.
And that email lasted for months.
I have to say one right now.
We had the pulled pork macaroni and cheese salad or something like that. Yeah.
So when I went to Branson, there's a place called Getting Basted.
Oh.
If you are wide enough to go to Branson, I'll put it that way. If you go to Branson, stop and try some Getting Basted. It is absolutely amazing. I got the Wagyu brisket. It's good. It's moist. Not a ton of flavor, but it was good meat. That barbecue sauce. I had to buy me a jar.
Did
I'll
you
tell you
really?
that. I bought me a jar. Yes, it was $8 for a little,
Oh no, like an 8-ounce jar.
whatever, like strawberry jam comes in.
Oh,
Well worth it.
yeah.
Well worth it.
And he didn't bring us any, Zach.
I'll bring some.
Just let me lick it off your finger.
I don't know if it's barbecue sauce.
Final nail in the coffin, guys. To The Nice Guys. Anything else? Good movie, fun episode.
Yeah,
Lots of laughs. Go
Agreed.
check the movie out on Hulu. Guys, we have a quick heads up because it won the poll. American Psycho. Thoughts, Craig, next week?
I enjoyed it last time I watched it, so we'll see.
It's not very long. It's only an hour and 40 minutes. It's on Hulu, premium subscription, or HBO Max. This is the movie that some say got Christian Bale some of his big time roles in, like the Batman. Willem Dafoe is also in it. Jared Leto, Reese Witherspoon. I think it's going to be fun to talk about because of the anniversary, maybe. But I am interested to see how this movie lives up. I haven't seen it maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Is this the movie? Why Jared Leto? Is this the movie that put Jared Leto over the top?
I don't know. I don't know if he was in it
Because
long
if
enough.
it is, I'm giving it like 2 stars.
I don't know if he was in it long enough to really, make clap at it or not.
I don't know. I mean, he did this, and then I don't know what he did after this, and then he did music.
He did Reek Room of a Dream in 2001, I think.
Requiem
That's
of a Dream.
that's the movie that got him, I think, his star power plus his 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll leave it there.
Zach, you ready for next week? We haven't really honestly talked to horror movies since Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight.
So this is going to be one of our first horror movies we've talked about in a while. I'm excited, just for maybe the diversity.
To see what-
the unknown of what people are going to say.
Yeah.
Sounds like Zach's not going to like it. I don't know what I'm going to feel.
I'll just say it's just one of those movies that I think is overrated.
It's fine.
So,
How long has it been since you've seen it?
10 plus years maybe.
Oh, nice.
So
That is a long time. That is a long time. Yeah. Like I said, we're all Christian Barrel fans, so let's see how it is. Some odd years later. Until next week, Zach, you have anything else you want to say?
no. I think Johnny, me and you are probably gonna go catch the Northman this weekend. So
Try to see it this weekend.
So we'll have a.
Craig, gotta go.
I don't know. It seems like it's a mandate, so I don't want to barge in.
Barge in, kick the doors down.
Invite myself.
Yeah, no, you can come in the back door.
And
The movie theater. We'll sneak you in the back door.
We're saying goodnight.
We'll sneak you in the back door of the movie theater.
Yeah.
bloody violence and Vikings. So.
And then, next week, American Psycho, right here on the Cine-Men movie podcast. Oh, spring game this weekend, Craig. No Boomer Sooner from you?
I didn't know we were done. Yeah. Hell yeah. Boomer soon.
Next week, American Psycho, Christian Bale.